I'll let everyone in.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Just giving it a second for everyone in the waiting room to make it in. Okay, so it looks like everyone from the waiting room has made it in. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's very exciting that we have our NOSB 2025 Virtual Finals Competition opening ceremony. If you do not know me, my name is Melissa Brodor, and I'm the program manager of the NOSB. I've been in this role since 2011, but the NOSB is now housed at the Center for Ocean Leadership at the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research. So I work remotely, but our office is in Boulder, Colorado. Give me one second, and then we're going to have Nicole, who also works with the NOSB, introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Palma. Use she, her pronouns. I'm a program specialist with the National Ocean Sciences Bowl program, working with Melissa, and I'm based in Monterey, California. Really excited to see you all here tonight and for this weekend. Should be a great time.
Yes, so this is now my 14th finals, and it's Nicole's first. So it's still exciting for me, and I know she's also excited to be here with us. If you don't mind, we are going to ask you to rename yourselves in Zoom. This is to help us keep track with attendance for the evening. If you don't know how to do that, you can hover next to your name, and it says More. And if you click the More button, you can see that there is the rename option.
Okay, what do we rename ourselves to?
Oh, I just need you to rename yourself to your full name.
So you're
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
I need my second camera right now?
Oh no, tonight is just a presentation. So you just get to
But
sit
we have
back.
a TCQ after that.
Yes, so you just get to sit back and watch the presentation. And we just want your full name just to keep track, but nothing's needed of you tonight specifically.
Yet until your TCQ session.
Right. Yes, this is just the fun part of the finals competition. Okay, so the NOSB staff at the Center for Ocean Leadership are extremely pleased that we can offer our first head-to-head virtual competition this year. And as you know, there are so many people that play very special roles each year in the program to ensure that the regional and finals competitions can take place. So to start, I have to go through a few thank yous to all of those that helped us get there tonight. So first of all, we have to give a huge thank you to our sponsors, especially for remaining engaged in the program and for their support in the regional competitions and the teams. And of course, now our top students who are going to be competing this weekend at finals. So you can say, we have to say thank you to Schmidt Ocean Institute, NASA, the Curtis and Edith Munson Foundation, BOEM, IEEE Oceanic Engineering Society, Friends of the National Center, the National Marine Educators Association, Storm Center Communications, and the University of Chicago Press. We also have NOAA and ONR as sponsors for other portions of the NOSB activities. Our second huge thank you needs to go out to our regional coordinators from across the country. Without their dedication to the program and the teams, you, our students, we couldn't have reached nearly 850 students on 166 teams from 26 states in 2025. We also have to thank our 190 coaches and assistant coaches that guided their teams through preparing for competition. For those who made it to this year's finals, I hope that you feel proud of both your and your team's accomplishments. We know that it's a lot of hard work on top of everything else that you do with your school duties, so we thank you for all of your hard work, those long hours of hard work. And as you know, the regional and finals competitions would not be possible without the hard work of hundreds to thousands of volunteers each year. We particularly appreciate all of the regional volunteers and regional coordinators who are now joining us again as competition officials for the virtual finals so soon after completing their own regional bowls. And in fact, we have 60% of the 2025 finals volunteers are past officials. And we need to give a special shout out to our NOSB alums who have now come back to the program serving as volunteers. They are now assisting training the next generation of ocean leaders. And this year, 29% of our finals volunteers are past participants. Lastly, we need to give our regional coordinator, Lori Saruta, with People Making a Difference, a very large thank you. She's serving as our local finals host this year for the 2025 finals, but she also assisted the national office on top of managing 2 regional competitions this year. Given we went virtual for finals, it makes sense that our local host served as the regional coordinator for the virtual Sponge Bowl in 2025. The Sponge Bowl, rightly named, as it absorbed the teams from the handful of bowls that could not take place in 2025, happened because of Lori's dedication to the program and her past experience with running virtual competitions for both NOSB and the National Science Bowl. So before we begin tonight, before we end tonight, we'll introduce all our 2025 final competing teams. But prior to that, we do have a special guest. So Dr. Heather O'Leary from the University of South Florida Department of Anthropology is here with us tonight. She assisted the NOSB staff with our Scout Lyre STEAM Leader Challenge on Ocean Acoustics, which I know a few of these coaches that are attending tonight looked into the resources that we provided. And we were really impressed with her work. So therefore we thought, wow, she'd be a fantastic speaker for tonight's opening ceremony as well. She's going to tell us a bit about her work, her career trajectory, and how she translates ocean science data into musical experiences to help increase public understanding around issues like red tides and harmful algal blooms. We'll have time at the end of her presentation for a quick Q&A. If you'd like to ask a question, you can feel free to raise your Zoom hand. That's found under the React button at the bottom of your screen, or you can simply type your question in the chat box and the NOSB staff will read it aloud to her. So I am going to turn the presentation over to Dr. O'Leary.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here as an anthropologist, as a human, and as a person who has tracked her whole life based on what watershed she's in. This year, I was very excited to visit the Sturgeon Bowl and also our own bowl here in Florida, the Spoonbill Bowl. And I'm just so proud of all of the hard work that every single one of you have done, from first-timers to those of you who have entered multiple times to all of the volunteers who have really opened up the next generation's mind to all of these amazing facts and new pressing problems for the world's oceans. Thank you so much for that introduction. I want to talk to you today a little bit about our pet project here at USF called CRESCENDO. And I think it's really important to this year's Ocean Bowl theme, thinking about how ocean acoustics amplify our ability to do national science. Let me see if I can advance the slide. Okay, there we go. Just in case you didn't recognize me, this is some of my work. I know that some of you may have accessed the Scout Lyre, but for those of you who didn't, please come and see us. Let's talk more. Why are you having an anthropologist speak with you today? Can anybody say in the chat or by raise of hand, how many of you know what an anthropologist is or does? Many people assume that I am Ross from Friends and that I study dinosaur bones. Anthropologists do not. Many people are like, oh, I know anthropologists. You must be like Indiana Jones. Why, no, he was an archaeologist, which is one of the different types of anthropologists, but I do not run around with a whip and steal idols. I'm actually a cultural anthropologist. Anthropology has 4 different flavors, and some say a secret 5th flavor called applied anthropology or problem-solving anthropology. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one, so from here on out, you'll know what an anthropologist does, but then also you can begin to understand how something as far removed as you think could be from the ocean actually has a lot to say. So as a cultural anthropologist, people like me believe that we can learn through connection from anyone, anywhere in the world. You name a place, I can probably think of at least one anthropologist who has thought about studying there. We also think about the best way to understand other folks. And we say that this is through immersion for mutual understanding. That essentially means that you can't really understand anybody until you've walked a mile in their shoes, spoken their language, eaten their food, and lived with them through a few seasons of their life. Also, we definitely believe in equitable collaboration, because if we're not bringing different folks to the table to solve problems with the tools that they already have, then we're missing a lot of the viewpoints that there are. And so these foundational principles of anthropology, I think, really undergird some of the ways that we are approaching problems and issues in today's and tomorrow's ocean science. And the tools are learning through connection. I came to my project called CRESCENDO through a very winding path. Not only did I do my undergraduate in communications and sociology with a certificate in business, but shortly after that, I bounced back and forth between India and my master's program and my PhD program. And one of the things that really captured my attention and my heart was thinking about India's street theater. Way back before independence, and even today, as are in these pictures, everyday people in India who didn't have a lot of literacy, many of them only went to kindergarten or first grade, and that was their reading and writing and mathematics level, they would learn through going to public markets where folks would put on theatrical presentations or sing songs that would be earworms and get stuck in your brain for several hours or days or weeks, so that everyday folks, even those who were not permitted by their families to learn, could actually learn a little bit more about science, about medicine, and about the politics that are going on. And what I love about this is that it surpasses different barriers in the world, because no education is necessary. You're basically just socializing in places where you already go, and you're learning more about this beautiful world. I want to know, with a thumbs up, how many of you go to marketplaces or the mall or the library? And also, for like a double thumbs up right after that, you can tell me a little bit more about whether or not any of you listen to music or watch media. Has anyone seen a play or a movie or anything like that lately? If so, street theater could be used to help you inform yourself and others around you about some of the things you're most passionate about the ocean. So let's center ourselves in anthropology just a little bit more, because it's such a useful tool. Let's think about how it can help us be better community scientists and help the world know and understand data better, become more data literate, and things about the ocean. So the theme this year was sounding the depths. But instead of just thinking about that as a metaphor about the physical ocean, to know and understand everything that this beautiful physical structure holds, I want you to also think about it in a humanistic sense. Can you think about how the blue humanities, or literature, history, English and writing, anthropology, all of these different ways, can you think about how the blue humanities builds a repository within every person who thinks about the ocean to give us ways of thinking, ways of knowing, ways of feeling, and ways of organizing ourselves on coasts and around concepts of the ocean? I know when I bring to India pictures like the sunken coral sculptures in the Caribbean to show some of my field workers there, there's always a collective gasp of awe of these sunken human folks who are now being artificial coral reefs for coral to grow on. This idea of universal humanity and interconnections with nature are things that the blue humanities have used to move people to act in and amplify some of the ways that they care about the oceans. Also, we can think about the depths of science communication, the ways that the words that we use to tell our friends, our coaches, our families, and all of your future college roommates and friends that you make in your new school someday, how are you going to convince them that the oceans are important? Some part of it is going to be fact, but some part of it is also going to be hard to put your finger on. It's the emotion that makes you feel very excited about what it is that you're studying and how you can change the world. These are the innovations of interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, or transdisciplinary scholarship. The ways that we can go beyond just ocean science to change the world by using the tools and capturing the imaginations of everyday people. So for biological and medical anthropology, we really think about the bodies, how humans have changed over time and space. So in different geographies, in different eras, hundreds, thousands of years. And when we think about music specifically, we can think about how music is hardwired to make our bodies move. If you do brain scans of people who are listening to music, you can notice and see that they're lighting up in different areas as though they were moving themselves. We can think about how this stimulates multiple regions of the brain at once. And so if you're communicating ocean science through music, your brain is able to stop and remember this information in different areas. This is really cool stuff. Another form of anthropology is archaeology. We can think about how art expression is something that has lasted millennia. The idea of artistic material culture, from potsherds to paintings on the walls of caves, it is fundamental for humans to want to express themselves about art. And what would it mean if people were not just expressing old and beautiful stories about what it meant to be in a myth or living in their time, but what about the bits of art that demonstrate our relationship fundamentally to water and the ocean? What is that communicating? And how different would it be to see works of art about the ocean versus spreadsheets about the ocean? Has anybody seen many spreadsheets and data and facts and academic articles? I mean, I know which one I'd sign up for, but I'm the anthropologist in the room. Next, we can think about linguistic anthropology, which is pretty amazing too. We think about how linguistic and cognitive development happens. Everybody here has learned the ABC song. We can also think about how scientists can use song and memory and call and response data to help people remember specific facts about the ocean and why we should act to help protect it. Finally, in cultural anthropology, we can also think about ethnomusicology. This is one of my favorites because we're not just thinking about music or sound in a vacuum, we're thinking about it as a way to create value, belonging, and understand power. All of these come together in the secret fifth field called applied or problem-solving anthropology. That's what I think of when I think about the CRESCENDO project. We used all of these different tools in order to solve one of the problems, which is many folks in Florida and around the world don't understand what's happening to our local waters. So here's a little about our sonification experiment that we call CRESCENDO. CRESCENDO is a musical term that means louder together. And now that you know more about anthropology, you can know and understand that as the sounds and voices get louder about the ocean, maybe our action can get louder too. So CRESCENDO, the CRE stands for Communicating Research Expansively. So instead of just talking to one another in marine sciences disciplines or even just within the scholarly community, we need to think about the ivory tower or academia as not just a tower that is very apart from multiple publics, but as like a radio beacon. We want to communicate our messages, but then we also want to be very good listeners to know and understand what people are saying back and why it matters. Part of why it matters is because they have evidence that can help us improve our scientific models. Second, we can think about the S in CRESCENDO, sonification. It's an auditory perception of data. That means that you're hearing data. So we can go from the most complex, which is something like this computer program, that's a complex method. We can also think about the most complex data, like this NASA data that they've sonified, to know and understand the beauty of our heavens. But we can also go super simple. Think about when you go to a place like India, if you've ever been, when you go to a temple, you ring a bell on the ceiling before you walk through the threshold. Also in America, if you've ever been to your Main Street shops, as you open the door, you also hear the bell ring. If you ever sat by those bells or sped up the bell dings across time, you would know a lot more about the volume of people going in and out of a place. That's sonification. You can do it already. So let's think about some different ways to sonify data. Has anybody here been to a football game? Maybe some of you understand football. I am among the population that doesn't really. But I also know that if I went to a football game, a baseball game, anything, I could stop, I could close my eyes, and I could listen to the crowd. And I could learn a lot about what was happening. Give me a thumbs up if you're a cricketer or understand the game of cricket or why the Indian team here is all holding up the number 6. Okay, maybe not that many. But if I gave you a shrunken down in time recording of the game compared to another game, I bet you could tell me which one was more exciting. Just like if I gave you 2 sound recordings of data changes about something like the oyster population in your local bay. You don't need to know as much about the data or how complex it is if you can hear it. So I also put up a picture here of Quidditch because maybe some grown-ups in the room like me are like, I don't exactly know the rules. Give me a thumbs up if you know the rules of Quidditch. Maybe not me. So here's a couple of questions that I get a lot. Is it sonification? Sonification is just listening to sounds that represent data. There are 2 different ways that we can think about it and complicating it, like using sounds from the field. Has anybody here listened to any dolphin or whale songs? That's a form of listening to data or listening to sounds from the field, but unless you speak dolphin or whale, it doesn't necessarily count as sonification because it's not data that you're listening to. It's just the beautiful songs. I loved a program in MTV in India called Sound Trippin', where there was this really amazing composer who went to a lot of different villages and recorded sounds from everyday life, like the creak of a door, open and shut, open and shut. What are some of the marine science sounds that you could think of that we could collect with a recording device and use to make music about a problem in the ocean? Can anybody think of one? I'm not going to force you to say it out loud, but I hope your brains are starting to go. And if so, I could use some research assistance over here. So this is the kind of sonification that we do in my lab here in Crescendo. We take data that is 3-part, I'll get to that in a second, and what we do with that data is we build it into a spreadsheet, and then we assign 1-to-1 ratio what the data said and what the sounds are going to say. We think that this is really wonderful. And we also compose it using instruments that people normally find in their high school and middle school bands. This means that a lot of folks can learn the data through playing their instruments. Do I have any instrument players here? Do you want my sheet music? Okay, so moving through Crescendo, CE is for community engaged. This is, again, learning through connection. We really need to make sure that we are communicating our love of the ocean and our desire to protect it to lots of different folks from lots of different walks of life. And neuroaesthetics. We want to see that brain light up in lots of different places. And the more we plan universal design, which engages lots of different styles of learning, the more likely it is that people can understand by learning and also contribute back to building a better science. By doing this in public, we're building up data literacy opportunities. Our case studies used the United Nations model of sustainability, which has 3 pieces, the triple bottom line, people, profit, and planet. These 3 things in together are really important because if you're not modeling on all 3 types of this data, then you're not actually going to make a model that works in the long term. So we needed economists, we needed social scientists, and we also needed marine scientists all together to feed data into our project. For this, we looked at red tide in the Gulf, the 2017 to 2019 state of emergency in Florida, and also the spreading of stony coral tissue loss disease. We used metrics about the revenues from the tourism department. We looked at the obvious physical degradation in these regions. And then we also looked at Twitter data and social media. How many people are freaking out on social media? How often? And hello, do those freakouts actually map on to the intensity of the events? By building these together, we won a major first prize award in a scientific journal that probably 10 people read. We got really excited when our data was picked up by Newsweek, and we proved that the state of Florida lost $2.7 billion in the red tide event. Without that number, our politicians and decision makers wouldn't be able to argue for our communities to get aid and assistance the next time we see a red tide. We were also, after that, picked up on international radio. We got interviewed for NPR's All Things Considered when we made our music about this, and also on CBC's Day 6. This is really thrilling as an anthropologist because it builds up our knowledge networks. When we experiment together and share our results to community members in ways that they can understand, we build these awesome feedback loops where people with different skills see with different eyeballs, hear with different ears, and each one of us makes a part of the node, a node in the network, so that we can have fresh ways of knowing and solve problems in different ways. So as part of our public outreach, we had a accessible, free, open to the public symphony concert with our local band. They played the music that was composed by students. We mapped out the data into colors and textures and had an art gallery opening. And we also have a beta of our augmented reality. We have articles for mathematics lessons, musical scores for K to 16 bands, and we also have materials to help folks advocate for arts support in their schools by using STEM and STEAM lessons. We are building out into exhibits and museums, and we train NGOs in libraries about how they can think about ocean data that affects the folks that they're lobbying for in new ways, and supplemental education. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, you can explore it later, our augmented reality. And again, if we were only working insularly, we wouldn't have all of these neat products that bring everybody together. I needed an ed specialist, a VR and an AR specialist. I needed somebody who knows how to compose, somebody who knows an instrument, for Pete's sakes. So there you'll be able to see the What Shines Beneath inclusive marine science dance, and also the wonderful USF band performing on the beach and whatnot in our first version of the music video. So I invite you all, as you're sounding the depths, to not just explore the ocean, but also explore the world's oceans while exploring you. Think about that we need to continue to learn through connection, but also that it's really important for you to follow your curiosity to new questions and new partners. Because through doing that, you'll find unimaginable new careers, and that'll bring you to unimaginable new solutions that take us beyond the shackles of the old environmental paradigms. And who knows? Your hobby or passion could unlock the future of a new, interconnected public ocean science. So good luck to all of you. We are all so proud of you for making it this far, and also for all of the contributions that you're going to make, either directly to ocean science or in some of the allied fields like me.
Thank you so much, Heather, for the presentation. So now is your chance. If you guys have questions, like I said, feel free to raise your hand and we can call on you, or you can feel free to type your questions in the chat box and we'll read them aloud. I will start with the first question. So you are, oops, I'm sorry, I realized I have my video off. You started with the red tide data.
Yes.
what next sort of data topic would you find most interesting or exciting to focus on?
Okay, well, this is thrilling. We are in the works with oyster population data, where we're taking the economic value of oysters, the number of times that ships go out and their hauls in their haul logs. So we've got economic data in those two metrics. We're looking at the estimated population, and then we're also looking at the way community over time through newspapers and social media over the last, maybe 50 years have reacted to the idea of eating oysters or using them as a tool to clean our waters. So that's one of them. The second one that's in production right now, that's like a jazzy piece. The second one that's in production right now that I think is pretty exciting is one thinking about marine heat intensification. And that one we haven't assigned a genre. So I'm open to genre suggestions. What kind of music do you like? I mean, I don't know if I can do something like K-pop, but we'll see. And the one that is like sort of a really big reach and we're still looking for funding for, we've got a partner locally in St. Pete who has sea drones. So drones that go out into hurricanes and can send back data about the hurricanes as they're happening. And so my dream, don't leak it. My dream is so that not only when folks of us who are in hurricane prone zones, can we look at the visualization of the hurricane intensifying, where's the eye and coming to us, but also serving communities who might not be sighted or might not love processing information that way. What would it be like to listen to the hurricane coming through? And how does one hurricane inherently sound different than another? So we were hit by two major hurricanes here in this last year, and one was a major water event with flooding and rain, and the other was like more intense in terms of wind. And so I'm really fascinated by what do those two sound like? And I'm not talking like the wind, like, but musically, how would that data map out?
That's really, I appreciate you brought up the idea of accessibility too, thinking of those who maybe may not be able to understand data, how they could access it through music, but also if you have some sort of impairment, is music a really great way for you to understand how something's happening that maybe you can't physically see? So I think
Exactly.
appreciating and bringing that up.
And comparing two different types of art at the same time as like translating this data that way just allows us to not only like communicate the data, but also to hear reactions. And what I'm waiting for is for somebody to say, I see an anomaly here, but it makes sense because I'm an artist and I can tell you why this data makes sense. Or as a musician, I can make sense of why these three notes end up pairing here and here. And us scientists saying, we just thought that that was noisy or messy data. But you found some new logic here that with our scientific eyeballs, we didn't see.
That's great. Okay, so we have two questions in the chat. One has asked, have you ever made music remixing sounds of the waves and birds on the beach at various times?
Oh, that sounds beautiful. If you know how to mix that, let's do it. I have not done it personally. My musical skill level is quite low. That's why I said if you have a hobby or if you're an aficionado of anything, I love listening to music. So the thing that would turn remixing like that into sonification would be to think about, well, what could those waves or birds represent? What puzzle or what risk with oceans are you trying to communicate to a wider public about? And then you can assign the birds and like maybe the rhythm of the waves or the intensity of the waves to try and show how the numbers are changing. Great question.
Another question was, what specific projects have some of your students been able to work on during the academic year?
So far, the music students have been doing the compositions for these three pending for different data sets. My social science students mine the national repositories as well as some of our local repositories for existing data. We also clean qualitative data. So as social scientists, we code the data. So like a social media post is a post is a post. Well, no, you can't use AI to clean all posts because the AI gets very confused, especially with sarcasm. And so if you're saying beautiful day at the beach, you know, hashtag red tide, that does not actually mean that we're loving the red tide at the beach. So my students will read them, and then we come up with a code book so that we can sort them. And then assign them quantitative values, which then would get communicated into the music. Our economics students do the same types of things with prowling through the tourism data. And our marine science students will help us not only in digging out the data sets that are important to solving the question, but also all of our students talk to one another. So it was really neat to hear when we were doing the coral data what our composition students who had never been underwater on a dive, they wanted to know from the marine scientists, what does it sound like? And so we're thinking about all the little creatures that are clicking and eating the coral and chipping away at it. And so you can hear that there's more percussion in that sound because it was inspired by the sound of actually being around coral. And so the music students were very thrilled because they've never thought, even though they're here on the coast, they've never thought about the way the ocean affects them, or especially how it might sound musically, and vice versa. The divers, they rarely think about how this is this like beautiful musical score of the planet, but how it can also represent the things that they get bored reading sometimes, as we all do.
So this is interesting. Someone asked, can you collect any such sonification data from this year's competition?
Whoa, that's awesome. Yeah, we totally could. We could think about any of the metrics that the National Ocean Science Bowl follows. So we could think about attendance rates. We could think about how quickly people buzz in. And instead of like actually having to listen to the buzzers, we could do it that way. But we could also assign like each one of these creature bowls. Like, I don't know what we do for the sponge bowl. I don't know if that would be like a wet sponge hitting a wall or like, 'cause that's like a very soft creature, but like a spoonbill cry, you know, for that one, that would be really fun. I love it. Welcome to my lab. Let's work.
Maybe this is something we have to consider working together on in the future. Yeah.
Yes, I'm in.
So someone did ask, they said something, you said sheet music was available somewhere.
Yes. It should be on our website, and if it's not, let me know, and I'll connect you with our director of the bands. He'll send it right over, and look who's going to be playing all about stony coral tissue loss disease.
Yeah, so if you, I put the link to the Crescendo project in the chat. So yeah,
Awesome.
student coach, whoever that was that dropped that question, if you can't find it, be sure to send us an email and we'll connect you. You can just send it to nosb@ucar.edu and we'll get you connected. Then the last questions we're just asking about what kind of cameras you use to film the music videos, and with microphones, how do you block out other sounds at the beach?
So our students actually handle that. We've got communication students that work on this. I do not know the tech specs, but I can also get those to you. I know the right people. One of our dreams was to use a 360 camera, not just above ground, but also in the water, to film the musicians. And another future goal is you'll see at the What Shines Beneath music video where folks here were doing the dances. One of the things that we want to do is not just have spoken word poetry that follows what the social media posts were saying, and the music, which follows all of the data, but we wanted to assign dancers to different movements, and to have a 360 camera in the middle of it so that viewers in their like AR could look anywhere during the musical performance and see the dancers moving around them, and who knows, maybe be inspired to move themselves. So there's some cool tech out there. I'm not the expert, but this also reminds us that we all have to work outside of our wheelhouse.
Yep, I would say if we have any last questions, drop them in the chat. I was actually just going to ask, oh, here we go, got another question. Getting funding for science communication is challenging in general. Do you have any stories about applying for grants for your work that you can share with us?
I'll tell you this, I'm in my 6th year here at USF. I have applied for almost 80 grants in that time. Folks, I'm an anthropologist. Our legislature in the state a few years ago said the state of Florida doesn't need any more anthropologists, right? I'm one of the paupers of social science. So I also know that when you've got a really inspiring story that you want to tell and you're jazzed about it, it doesn't matter if you're on application number 80, you keep going. And what I love about doing science like an anthropologist, including lots of folks from lots of different disciplines, is that we all have our strengths to help each other out in the applications. And we also all enjoy each other and doing it together as a team. So I would say at my institution, it is extremely abnormal to have almost 80 grant applications. Faculty maybe do 2 or 3 a year. So I'm very robust at it. And I also want to say that my application receival rate is probably like 25-30%, if not higher, because I'm persistent and I only propose projects that are going to be exciting to do. So hang in there, science communicators. If I can do it, you can do it. And just keep going.
Yeah, I had a past boss who said all's fair in love, war, and fundraising. So he's like, if you have to enjoy them by submitting it over and over and over again, you do so. So
Yeah, and each time you learn more from the different reviewers who are helping point out the areas that you need to be stronger in. You didn't get to this National Ocean Science Bowl by getting all of your answers right. You practiced over and over.
I was going to ask sort of some advice for the students, but we do have one last question that I think sort of hits on it a bit. Based on your knowledge of how brains work and the impacts of different forms of communicating information, do you have any suggestion for NOSB students to help them study and remember ocean science info in new ways?
Well, I'd say some of the things that CRESCENDO stands for, which is you're going to experience information retention a lot more if you're studying through music and through art. But also as a human being who has done a lot of studying in her life, it's really important to take breaks. It's really important to have moments. I like the Pomodoro method. We're sitting and you're focusing for 25 minutes or 50 minutes, and then you get a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break to be a human, to honor the body that is carrying that big, beautiful brain of yours through life, and to also socialize with friends. Because, like I said about my grants, and like I said about CRESCENDO, everything, all science is more fun when you're involving your community in it. So that's how it's more productive, too. So think about that when you're doing your studying. Take those breaks, honor your body, and engage with community who supports you. Have some fun.
Well, I think that is a great way to end, since we know that some students will be going into their PCQ sessions after this, and others will probably be doing some last-minute studying before the buzzer rounds tomorrow. So just want to say thank you again for joining us tonight. The number of comments that I saw about this being a fantastic presentation and how much they loved it, I mean, you hit it out of the park. And I will say, I appreciate, one of the things we try to tell our students is that there are many opportunities out there for them in careers that are even tangentially related to ocean science. So any interest in ocean science can find you a career. And I think you really highlighted how you can really think outside the box, and the idea of finding your area of expertise and working with others who are also experts in their area. So thank you very much for highlighting that for our students tonight.
It was my pleasure. This is such a big highlight for me. Thanks to all of you for all the hard work that you've done. And I'm honored to see how far you've come. Can't wait to see what you do next generation.
Yep, and I will note, we got the submissions for our Scout Lyre Steam Leader Challenge in Ocean Acoustics, and we will be announcing the winners shortly and showing you the artwork that they created. So that'll be on our NOSB website for everyone to see. So again, thank you, Dr. Larry. I know you had a really crazy busy week, so we really do appreciate the time and effort you took into presenting tonight. So thanks again for joining us.
My pleasure.
So we will get to introducing the teams quickly, but I do simply want to take a moment to encourage our graduating students heading into college in the fall to consider applying for the NOSB scholarship. We will award 5 $1,000 scholarships later this summer. And these funds can be used, for students to assist them with costs associated with their first year in college, including tuition, textbooks, and laptops. And it's simply a really short application, and it's only open to NOSB participants. And it doesn't matter if you participated once or all 4 years during high school, you're eligible. And so I highly suggest you take advantage of this opportunity. You just may end up being one of the Lucky 5 who receives it this year. And for those who would like to support our student scholarships, we like our students to know that they are now part of a larger ocean science community and that our community's support does not end when they graduate high school. So if you are so inclined to support our scholarships for students, there are 2 ways in which you can do so. You can go to our website and make a donation at any time of the year, but we have a specific campaign running right now to raise the $5,000 for the scholarships. Or you can also purchase a 2025 t-shirt from Bonfire with our amazing artwork created by Nicole. Shout out to her. And a portion of those sales will also directly support our scholarship fund. Okay, so now for the exciting part. We finished with some news and logistics. So now we're here for the real reason. We are going to celebrate our 2025 finals competing teams. So Nicole is going to go and read through the names of each of the regional bowls and the teams. And I think I have it so that you should all be able to unmute yourselves and start your video, I hope. Are people able to unmute themselves if they want to cheer for their teams? Yes, it looks like you can. Great, perfect. Okay, so we will read, or Nicole will read out the names of the teams. Give her a second to get the full name out, and then if you so wish, feel free to cheer for your team and others. Go crazy, go nuts with the reactions in Zoom. We want you to show, yes, the pom-pom crab. Come on, had to do something with cheering. We want you to show your support of your team and the other teams that you'll be competing against this weekend. So here is your chance to have fun in the chat box, use the reactions, and just enjoy the last few minutes we have together tonight. Okay, so gonna turn it over to you, Nicole.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, I just unspotlighted us, so we should be able to see everyone's videos. So even if you want to cheer just like quietly on screen, you can do that as well. Here we go. All right. From the Blue Crab Bowl, we have Warwick High School. Yay!
Warwick! Oh, I was the only one to scream. That was embarrassing.
No, I screamed too.
Big wig.
Yes, sir, Warwick.
Perfect. Good job, everyone. Moving on. Blue Heron Bowl, Aquaneers. Woo! We got claps. Yay!
I already forgot.
Woo! All right. Next up, Blue Lobster Bowl, Falmouth High School.
Yay!
Woo! Here we go, looking good. Chesapeake Bay Bowl, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. Woo! Yay, reactions, claps. Okay. And Dolphin Challenge, WB Ray High School.
Yeah!
There.
It's gotta be up. Okay, we're all gonna turn our mics on when we can.
All right,
No,
great
dude.
job. We can know who's here just based on cheers. All right, Garibaldi Bowl, Canyon Crest Academy. Woo! Perfect.
I love the crabs.
I know. I hope y'all wear those tomorrow. All right, Hurricane Bowl, Navarre High School. Yes!
Everyone, good luck.
Good turnout, and we even got matching shirts. Perfect. Okay. And let's see, we got the Lake Sturgeon Bowl, Marshfield High School. Woo, 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 woo.
Let's go.
Let's go. Just a subtle let's go. Perfect. Okay. Next up, LA Surf Bowl, University High School.
Let's go, Uni!
Woohoo! Yippee! Here we go. And Orca Bowl, Tacoma School of the Arts. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yes, I hear cheers or screams. All right, perfect. And next up, Penguin Bowl, Centerville High School. Woo!
Yay!
Awesome. Thanks all. All right, Cohog Bowl, E.O. Smith High School.
Let's go.
Yay!
Also, shout out to that awesome shirt for the coach. Love it.
Yes.
And let's see, we got Salmon Bowl, Neocani High School. Whoop, whoop, woo.
Yeah.
Yes. Go team. Woohoo in the chat. Love it. All right, Sea Lion Bowl, Lynbrook High School.
Let's go.
Yes. We got this. Good job. All right. Southern Stingray Bowl, Rockdale Magnet School for Science and Technology. Yes.
Go RSSC.
Whoop whoop. Okay. Next up, Spoonbill Bowl, PK Yonge Developmental
No, I have
Research
that hat.
School.
I love the
Woo!
hats. Woohoo!
Yes, I believe we'll be seeing those tomorrow. Can't wait. Costumes are welcome and encouraged, as long as you're not cheating with them. And Tsunami Bowl, Juneau Douglas High School.
Yeah.
Yeah! Woohoo! All right. And Virtual Sponge Bowl, Midwood High School. Woo! Woo! Love it. Okay, guys, thank you all. That is all of our teams that we'll be seeing tomorrow throughout the competition. Volunteers are excited to have you, and I know it's always fun in the rooms to see the teams go through. We'll wrap up. So if you want to follow finals or share these links with family, friends, colleagues, we will have a virtual public scoreboard where you can keep track of where the team standings are. That'll go live tomorrow morning. And then we are live streaming the championship match. Fingers crossed that all goes according to plan. So that'll be about 3:50 p.m. Eastern, 12:50 p.m. Pacific. Again, as long as we're all on time and things are working appropriately. So go ahead and you can visit our YouTube channel to find that live stream. And if you miss it, it will be recorded. So that way we'll have an example of what a virtual competition looks like in the future. All right, so good luck to all the teams. Thank you to all the volunteers. We say it all the time. We really mean it. We could not do it without you, both the volunteers and the students. It's all for you all. And for those who have the TCQ session next, that'll be starting at about 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, so in a little bit more than 30 minutes. And then get a good night's sleep, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for a big day. If there are issues that you encounter in the morning, you know who to contact. And then everyone will just be patient and we'll work through it together and we'll have a great time. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night, everyone. Get some sleep. We'll see you early tomorrow.
Bye.
And that's it.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Also,
Thank
we have
Bye.
you.
Yes. See you in those separate Zoom rooms.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, all. Is Mark still here? I could answer your question. No. Okay.
Oh, was there a question?
Yeah, I asked about TCQ scores. Oh, you're
Oh.
here. Okay. Let me just stop recording.